Good morning and welcome to One Baha'i, that regular show where, I just share some personal thoughts about the Baha'i faith. It's nothing official, just me. One individual, one Baha'i. So, the other day, I asked the question, or I talked about asking the question, what is your favorite prayer? I've received a few interesting replies. They were good prayers. Anyone who has ever been in a group with me, when somebody says, what prayer should I read? They know that I will almost always answer, choose a good one. There's no bad ones. So, as is fair, somebody asked me what my favorite prayer was. And it kind of surprises people when I answer. My favorite prayer is the one found on page 65 of the U.S. prayer book. Go ahead, look it up, I'll wait. It's from Baha'i. It's the one that begins, my Lord, I praise and thank thee. I love that prayer. I get a lot of interesting expressions when people read that one and realize why it's my favorite. You've heard me reference the concourse on high before, and I gotta say, I'm fairly convinced that somewhere out there amidst the concourse on high, there is a spirit whose sole job is to take this prayer and place it in the hands of unsuspecting victims. Young victims. Young male victims. Young male victims who are generally somewhere between the ages of 12 and 15. Hey, that's the same age as junior youth. Coincidence? I think not. I think this is that one individual, that one spirit's sole purpose. This is just a feeling. I might be wrong on this. So, excuse me, I like this prayer because it starts off so nice, so innocent, so harmless. I have it here on my computer screen. Oh, come on, George. Come on up. It says meow meow. It says, I praise thee and I thank thee, for that whereby thou hast favored thy humble maidservant. Now generally when I see these young, innocent, male, 12 to 15 age victims reading this prayer, I kind of watch their eyes at this moment because they get just a little bit wide as they read maidservant. They kind of sit there and go, wait, what? Maidservant? But it's okay. Because, Abdul-Baha often referred to himself as a maidservant, so they're on good grounds, right? It continues. Thy slave beseeching and supplicating thee, because thou hast verily guided her unto thine obvious kingdom, and caused her to hear thine exalted call in the contingent world, and to behold thy signs, which prove the appearance of thy victorious reign over all things. Now, again, these innocent youth, they read this and, aside from the occasional reference to her, it's okay. And let's be fair. Think of all the women out there who read these prayers that refer to him. So, in the context of gender equality, for a man to read the word her, referencing himself, this should be totally fine. These youth get that. They understand it. So they continue. O my Lord, I dedicate... And then they pause. This is where I really enjoy watching their eyes. Because they have a sneaky suspicion by this point, but they're not too sure. That, and their eyes suddenly grow wider. Which is in... And they want to stop. They want to rewind the page. They want to choose a different prayer, but it's too late because they're usually standing in front of a large group of people. Everything is happening in slow motion, and all you can do is wait, watch, wince. It's like watching a train wreck happen. Is in my... And they realize they have chosen that prayer. The prayer which is the bane of all Baha'is throughout the world. The prayer that they will all sooner or later read by accident, thanks to that one soul who was accidentally allowed to consort with a concourse on high. That spirit who exemplifies the misunderstood attribute referred to only once in the Baha'i writings, the humorist, but fails to demonstrate that other most important attribute, the compassionate. By this point, this poor youth probably closes their eyes. They read that next word from memory. Womb. You can just hear that deep bass echoing reverb of that singular word as it crashes before them. And you know, if that poor soul was to open their eyes at that moment, they would probably see a room full of people valiantly pursing their lips, struggling not to giggle or snigger or show any emotion whatsoever for fear of offending said young male victim. Most in the audience will sit there, heads down, eyes closed, with only the slightest bit of wrinkling around the corners of their mouth. A few will have jiggling shoulders as they try to hold back and stifle the laughter that is welling up inside them. And sometimes, rarely, very rarely, but I have seen it on occasion, someone will let out a tiny spark of a giggle or a laugh. And that is enough. If even one person makes out a single sound, the combustion factor of the room just explodes in a burst of laughter that will traumatize that poor soul for the rest of their life. They will wake up in the middle of the night, well into their 30s, sweating and shaking as the sound of that laughter fades from their dream-turned nightmare. Fortunately, this almost never happens. But now that that hurdle, that word has been said, they know that there is nothing else to do but to continue on to the bitter end. I dedicate that which is in my womb unto thee. Then cause it to be a praiseworthy child in thy kingdom and a fortunate one. They will think, yes, a fortunate one, not like this poor innocent soul who is reading this prayer. Don't let them be a male who is falling prey to this most embarrassing prank of the spiritual realm. And they will still continue, by thy favor and thy generosity, to develop and to grow up under the charge of thine education. Verily, thou art the gracious. Yeah, they will think, oh yeah, really gracious. Verily, thou art the Lord of great favor. Yeah, they will say that deep within their heart. Thanks a lot. You know, given the number of times that I've seen this happen, it's kind of amusing that the prayer book isn't written with a warning saying prayer for expectant mothers. Now, to be fair, it's not just men that this has happened to. It's not just the boys. I've seen it happen to young women, too. The implications are a little different. This is how rumors begin. And, yeah, they have a hard time stifling the rumors after that mishap. So, I gotta say, out of all of the prayers and the writings, just for the sheer humor factor, that particular one really has to be my favorite. So, I'd like to hear more about your favorite prayers. If you have any thoughts, please share them. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, whatever you feel like. We'll talk again tomorrow.